Now let's look at the commodities market. Okpeyemi Oguntade is an economic analyst with the Financial Derivatives Company Limited. She joins me in the studio to take a look at the current situation in the commodities markets. Good morning, Okpeyemi.
Good morning, Balaji.
I'm sure what is on the minds of everyone is how the ban on 9 banks by the central bank, banning them from accessing the interbank forex market is impacting the commodities. Tell us, what is the situation at this point?
Well, right now in the commodities market, prices are relatively flat, but going forward, looking at this recent directive by the CBN to ban 8 banks from trading forex, this certainly means that we're going to have, a supply bottleneck, so to speak, for certain commodities as well as consumer goods. Now, if we're looking at the fact that initially we had, say, about 14, 20 banks supplying forex to these traders, and then all of a sudden about 8 of them has been taken off that supply block.
Okay, we had one reinstated yesterday.
Yes, that was
one of the banks.
Exactly. So we have, 8 banks taking off that block, and now you have traders as well. All users of forex are now diverting towards other banks that are still allowed to trade for forex. So what you have is you're going to have a long queue of people, of traders as well, users of forex, trying to get access to forex for their transactions. So at that point, there's some certain transactions that require immediate attention, and so we might see some traders spilling over to the parallel market, and that would obviously increase demand pressure in the parallel market. And as we've seen, yesterday, we saw the parallel market crossed over from the psychological level of 400 naira to $1 to 402 naira to $1. And if we're going to look at what's going to happen today, I'm sure today would give us further indication, and we might probably see a further depreciation in the parallel market. Now, another side of the story is commodities that are ineligible for trade in the foreign exchange market, in the official market. So commodities like rice, palm oil, tomatoes, cement, these traders have had to source forex from the parallel market. Now, the fact that we are having more demand pressure in the parallel market and the rate at that market is depreciating further means that it's going to become more expensive for these traders to get the commodities they need to sell in Nigeria. So,
okay, and also the impact on the short to medium term basis of this. We do not know how long the central bank ban
it
these
depends
banks.
On the length.
And the demand would continue to pile up for those who would access these banks, who would approach them to buy forex. So the demand will continue to increase for those who want to look at other avenues to get forex.
Yes.
The parallel market, like rightly mentioned, but the short to medium term period, how much impact will this have on commodity prices, especially staples that we all consume, for those who have to be imported into the country?
So looking at it in the short to medium term, most traders have obviously bought off inventory, and so they're probably trying to sell off the inventory they have. But if this ban persists for a longer period, then we'll certainly see it spilling over to the commodities market, and we would see prices increasing further.
Okay, if we could just take a look at this individual commodities we usually bring to our viewers. What has really changed, really?
Oh, nothing really. I mean, the only thing I could say has changed in the market is that we're seeing consumers moving towards local substitutes, specifically rice, because rice is getting very expensive now, and local farmers are taking advantage of this increase in price, and they're trying to, improve on quality as well as processing. So what you have is local consumers that can't afford rice at 19,000 to 22,000 naira to a bag. They're moving to locally produced rice that is between 12,000 to 16,000 naira for a 50 kg bag of rice.
So we do not expect to see much price increases on these commodities.
Like I said earlier, if the ban by the CBN persists longer than it should, then we will certainly see an uptick in prices of commodities. And if you're also looking at energy costs, there's been recent rumors or speculation about energy cost increasing on forex liquidity. And so if we see the prices of diesel going up further than what it is right now, although as of yesterday it has declined, but if this forex issues persist and the price of diesel goes up, then transportation costs will obviously filter into the price of commodities in the market.
Let's take a look at some of the commodities. Wheat, we have corn. Wheat futures down 1.63% to $4.28. cents. Corn futures down 1.63% as well to $3.37 per bushel. We're looking at cocoa prices up 1.09%. How does this affect the end products that are, being used by consumers? Because some of these commodities are used to manufacture other byproducts. So how does this impact on them?
Okay, so looking at certain commodities like you mentioned, wheat, for instance, we've seen that prices of wheat has gone down in the market, and this is largely because there's ample supply coming from the Black Sea region, being Ukraine and Russia, as well as the US, North America, and Canada as well. So this has led to prices coming down. But then in terms of the impact for manufacturers, there's kind of there's a middle chain there, being the forex, so the value of the naira, so the rate at which they are importing these commodities to refine into flour.
We haven't found a local alternative to some of these commodities.
No, there are certainly local alternatives, but they're not enough to meet the demand. So that's why we still have to depend on importation of wheat. I mean, in the north, there's been an increase in wheat production, but it's not enough to meet domestic demand. So manufacturers still have to rely on importation of wheat to meet domestic demand.
We have seen the Central Bank of Nigeria having to support rice production in the country. Do you think it should look at other commodities as well?
They're certainly looking at other commodities. There's an agricultural transformation policy plan that has been implemented that is looking across various commodities: rice, wheat, yam, cocoa, palm oil. So they're certainly trying to support farmers across board. Yesterday
we were having a conversation in the newsroom here, and many of those who are into businesses who sell some of these products are complaining that they're not making sales because of high costs of transportation, even of having to even sell them. Many of their customers are not buying.
Yes, times are really hard in Nigeria right now. I mean, it's a no-brainer, and there's a lot of consumer resistance out there in the market. Consumers are trying to cut off on a lot of expenditures to make ends meet, because you can't have, you can't really stick to the usual way, your usual method of consumption. There's a tighter budget constraint, so it's no surprise that you'd see sales falling down in the market.
And when you consider the fact that for some consumers, they've not been paid for 7 months, so that is weighing on their ability to make some purchases. All right. Thank you so much, Okpeyemi.
Thank you for having me, Bolaji.
Oguntade, our regular here on the program, an economic analyst from the Financial Derivatives